Today I'm going to talk about permanent makeup aftercare, and not just the aftercare that is immediately following after the procedure, which we call post-procedure instructions, but also the aftercare that the client does long term, which helps them with maintaining the shape, color, and longevity of the permanent makeup being done. Hi everyone, this is Julia and welcome to my channel, the #1 place for permanent makeup education, science, and inspiration. If you're new to my channel, please make sure that you click that subscribe button below, hit the bell, and turn on your notifications. Everything I mention in this video will be linked in the description box below. So let's jump right into it. You have forums amongst the technicians and you have forums amongst the consumers, all talking about this subject. And it seems like everybody has a different version of the aftercare, and I'm sure that can get confusing. I'm here today to talk to you about what we instruct our clients to do and the reasoning behind it. In order for someone to understand and follow the aftercare, it is very important that we first explain what happens to the skin after it's been tattooed and how the skin heals. First, I'm going to talk about the short-term care, and then I'm going to talk about the long-term care. So right after the procedure, your skin may experience edema, which is swelling of the skin, and erythema, which is the redness of the skin. The next day in the morning, the tattooed area is going to look thicker and darker. Thicker because the skin is still swollen, and darker because the pigment has oxidized overnight. Over the next 5 to 10 days, the skin will actually form a crust. In that time, the skin is actually preparing to push off that crust and the excess color. During that time, the skin may get very itchy, and that's not uncommon as the skin is very active underneath. In about a week, the skin will start peeling. And in an ideal world, the scab will come off all at once. But more often than not, the scab will fall off in pieces, and which will leave you with some spots that are still dark and some spots that are lighter. So it looks almost like dandruffy skin that has color in it. Once the skin has completely shed off the scab, it will go through a phase, what we refer to as the frosting stage. Now in the frosting stage, the skin looks like frosted glass and the color just peeks through the back. And that's because new skin or new cells are whitish and translucent in color. It takes the skin an average of 28 to 40 days for a complete cell turnover. In other words, the newborn cells in the stratum germinativum will rise to the top to stratum corneum, and that's all in the epidermis, which is the upper layer of the skin. That's actually the skin that you see. As the new cells rise to the top, so does the color, and the color blooms back. And true results will typically show within the month. Since skin is not a sheet of paper and it's a living, breathing organ, in fact, it's the largest organ on our body, it is typical that it needs another treatment, which we call the touch-up. After 4 weeks, the skin would have received about 80% color saturation, and 20% will then be filled in the touch-up appointment. Now, in an ideal world, the color fades evenly, but often it's patchy and there might be one area that's dark and one area where there's no color at all. Touch-up is recommended anywhere between 4 and 8 weeks. And now as to what the client has to do for home care. I go by the 3, 5, and 7 day rule. For 3 days, apply a very thin coat of Vaseline or petroleum jelly in the morning and in the evening. So what the petroleum jelly does is that it just creates a barrier. So you have to understand that you're really not using this to moisturize the skin. You're using this to protect from bacterial invasion and from the environment. Less is more. And too much Vaseline is not good because the color can be pushed out that way. But more importantly, if you put too much Vaseline, you may suffocate that area and bacteria can grow. Also, on certain skin types like oily skin, we have you dry heal and not use Vaseline at all. For 5 days, no water or moist heat. Moist heat includes prolonged hot showers, steam baths, saunas, working out, cooking over a stove, opening up an oven, opening up a hot dishwasher. The reason behind no water or moist heat is that the pigment takes about 72 hours for it to anchor itself into the skin. So water, oil, sweat, or steam can actually make the color blur, migrate, or spread. 5 days, we want you to actually sleep on the back. And if you can't do that, we recommend an airplane pillow, and this way you can roll around and not touch the area. So we get this question all the time: what do I do in the shower for 5 days without wetting it? Now, you can wet your body, you just can't wet the tattooed area. So if it's the face, you're going to shower from the chin down and then maybe backwards to wash your hair. Or what I do is I just go to the dry bar or to my hairdresser and have them wash it for me. Now, if you're having a scalp treatment done, you just don't wash your hair. Put it up in a bun for about a week and you should be fine. And for any camouflage treatment, you would just sponge bathe yourself around. Try to sleep on the opposite side. When you touch the area with your hands, and believe it or not, we touch our face about 100 times a day, you could introduce bacteria. For 7 days, do not apply any products, no cleansers, moisturizers, toners, serums, or makeup. Please do not pick at the epithelial crust. Let it flake off all on its own, because you could accidentally pull color out. Do not expose the area to a room with a lot of debris, smoke, and steam. For about a week, the area will appear very bold and dark, and it will soften over time. After 7 days, you can use makeup on the areas that are frosting. Now, when you use makeup, you want to use new makeup and clean makeup. Now, this is meant for long-term care of your permanent makeup. For most people, permanent makeup will become part of the regular beauty or personal care routine, just like nails, hair, injectables, and so on. Caring for the permanent makeup correctly will ensure the longevity of the color, but also make sure that the color does not fade into an undesirable shade. Apply zinc oxide over the tattooed area, especially on the eyebrows when you're going into the sun. Avoid any skincare or body lotions that have the following ingredients. Most of these ingredients can be found in anti-aging products and when getting a facial by the esthetician. When applying these products, just avoid the tattoo. When you swim in chlorinated water, apply Aquaphor over it before you jump in. I know this seems like a lot, but once you get used to it, this will be part of your daily routine. Being in compliant with the Aftercare, short-term or long-term, will avoid unnecessary fading and discoloration of color. If you have any questions about the Aftercare, please visit us at pigmentausa.com and we'll be more than happy to answer any questions you have. I hope you liked this video and that it helped you with the proper Aftercare. Now, if you're not our client and you're watching this, my recommendation to you is to really listen to what your technician has to tell you in terms of Aftercare, because we all work with different tools, pigments, and methods, and Aftercare may vary between all the technicians. This Aftercare has worked for us for many years and our clients, and it has been really a learning curve because what has worked 10 years ago no longer works today. We adjust it all the time. Just to give an example, 10 years ago, hardly anyone was using Retin-A. Now every other woman uses Retin-A, and that changes everything. That changes the way the color fades. And so as it evolves, we also change our Aftercare. If you're interested in any other permanent makeup subjects, please tell me in the comments below. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you next week, same time.